Hi Flosstube friends, I'm Sherry, Colorado Cross Stitcher here on YouTube and also on Instagram. Thanks so much for joining me today, and I know I'm coming back sooner than normal. Last time I was later than normal, this time I'm sooner than normal, but I came up with this idea that is time sensitive, so I wanted to do a Flosstube video today. So first of all, thank you so much for all of your kind comments on the passing of my dad. I talked about that in my last video, and gosh, your comments just meant a lot to me, and I teared up a few times reading them. I know so many of you have experienced the loss of a parent and you completely understand, so thank you for your kind comments. I really appreciated it. Okay, so we're going to talk about cross stitching. We're going to talk about a new program I have starting up, and I have 3 new starts. Did I or did I not in my last video say I have got to get some whips finished before I start anything new? Well, I've started 3 new things since we last talked, and I think that was just 2 weeks ago, so I'm not following my rules. First of all, calendar time. I love this calendar, and the more I fill it out, the more I love it. We will have these 2023 calendars. I think Vicki said October, and also Isabel from Reflet de Soie is putting out a calendar this year as well, and we will have those too. So as soon as I get pricing on both of those, I will put them up for pre-order, so you don't have to worry about missing out on a calendar. We'll have them for you. So, but again, remember, I'm the one that spiral binds mine, and I'm the one that adds pages in the back. So when you get it, it's not spiral bound, doesn't have extra pages, but it's really easy to do. So I want to show you my month of stuff. This is a really full month because I added extra stash. I went to summer school at the Attic, which I'm going to talk a little bit about. And I loved this sticker here. I don't know if you can see that, this little bird guy. Doesn't he just look like he's in awe? And I wrote there, that was my face when I walked into the Attic in Mesa, Arizona for the first time. Totally so fun. So I keep track of all of my projects, all of my fabric, because I can never remember what fabrics I'm doing what on. Now, if I was working on one project at a time, I think I could remember that. But do I do that? No, I do not. Okay, so that's my August page, and then I added some more to the advanced planning page. I added some more over here, some of the different stickers and cards I got at summer school. I'm just going to flip through this. This is my word of the year, create, and I put some of my favorite stickers from that sticker book that I've referenced before. These are finishes that I've done. I have another page because I haven't taken any pictures of the finishes that I did that are big and needing to be framed. These are just my smalls. So if I get them all framed, I'll put the framed pictures over here. If I don't get them framed, I'll just take pictures of the unframed finish so I can have it in this book. And then I had to go over to some more floss drops. I have a couple of pages of floss drops, floss cards. Stash, which I added to this past weekend. And here's a picture of my events. Now, one of them was Needlework Market in March, and then all the rest is from summer school. And like I said, I just had such a great time, met some forever friends, people I know are going to be forever friends, and super fun event. Then I have smalls that I want to do, planning some of the different patterns I want to do. These are just 2 different categories of patterns I want to do. Now, of course, I'm ready to start over next year, because did I do all of those plans that I said I was going to do? No, but I still like them. So I just like to keep track of things. I like to keep track of what I'm bringing in. I don't keep track of my fabric because I haven't had a big fabric stash until now. I still don't have a big fabric stash, but I'm working on it. And so I like having it all in one place. I have an ottoman by my stitching chair, and I keep this in there, and I just update it probably every 3 or 4 days because I don't do it every day, but I do write in there every day because I know what I was working on earlier in the month. And I just love looking through it now. It's just like a whole yearbook of my stitching year, and my plans and the things that I want to plan for next year. So I figure I'm going to have to keep this one in my ottoman even when I start 2023 because I'm going to want to look back on this one. So if you don't keep a calendar or some kind of journal like this, you might consider doing that. It's just super fun to keep track of something, especially if you are a dedicated stitcher and you get a lot of joy from your stitching. This is going to bring a lot of joy into your life too, and just help you celebrate some of the things that you've done. So I highly recommend a book of days. Again, we will have those for pre-order on the website pretty soon, probably in the next couple of weeks. All right, let's get on to what I worked on. So let's do my new starts first. I said last time I wanted to start this in all things be exceedingly diligent, and I did start that. I'm using Fiber on a Whim Milk and Honey 40 count. I'm pretty sure it's 40 count. I just got a little start on one of the alphabets, but I love the colors in this. You know, like that house looks black in there, and it's actually a really pretty dark blue. So the colors are prettier, and I of course didn't bring them here to show you. The colors, yes, I have them right here. Hang on. Whoa. Okay. These are the colors. So that dark is that, I hope that shows up on the camera, that dark black is this really pretty dark blue. So that's going to be really fun. All right, back in the project bag. So that was one of my new starts. And then I know a lot of people are talking about summer school. Let me just say about summer school, which the Attic puts on every year. If you haven't been, I hope you get to go sometime. I know that retreats are not cheap. I honestly don't know how Jean does her retreat, summer school, for the price that she charges. You get so much stuff. The food is incredible. Every time you turn around, she's putting something else on your table, or another designer is giving us a full kit for something. So they're just, it was so well worth it. And I came away refreshed, and I came away inspired. Walking through Jean's shop is just, like I said earlier with that sticker, incredible. The number of samplers and samples she has on the wall are just super inspiring. And I was talking to her because a lot of her samples are done on 46 and 56 count fabrics. And I was just amazed at the difference that the smaller fabrics show. You know, all of those little pieces just looked like little pieces of art or little pieces of tapestry. There's something about the tiny stitches and the tiny fabric that is just, I came away with a lot of 56 count fabric from Jean's store, and just with a renewed appreciation for the tiny, you know, when these girls and boys stitched samplers back in the day, they were stitching on really tiny fabric. They didn't have the magnifying lights. Of course, we didn't need magnifying lights when we were young either, but they didn't have the great needles that we have. They didn't have the great light that we have nowadays, and they still stitched on that tiny fabric. So I came back renewed to want to stitch on smaller things. And when I was talking to Jean about it, she said, I know people accuse me of talking people into doing 56 count, but it's really the samplers that sell people on it, or the samples on the wall. And she's exactly right about that. I still think, Jean, that you do encourage people to do 56 count, and I'm glad that you do, because it is easier than you think. You know, if you are stitching on 32 count or 36 count, it really isn't that much harder to do 56 count. I know it sounds like a big jump, but especially if you're using a magnifier, and if you're not, consider doing that and trying that 56 count. So, okay, now I'm all back and forth. The reason I started talking about the attic and summer school is because the next two starts I have were kits from summer school. And as I started to say, I know a lot of people who went to summer school are going to do floss tubes about it. So I'm not going to go through everything that we got because I don't want to be redundant with all the other people who are doing such a good job of that. But I do want to show you a few things, and a couple of the things gave me an idea that I want to share with you that I think would be fun for all of us to do. So my next start was, sorry, crinkle. Tanya from the Scarlet House, which is super fun to see her again. I met her at market, but it was fun to talk to her. So she had this beautiful pattern, Scarlet Berries, and I wanted to jump right into it. I loved the fabric. I think it's Weeks Dye Works Cocoa, 36 count, and I just love that berry tree. And really, once you get this part done, it's just a few alphabets, no big border. It's really going to be a pretty quick stitch, I think. So we got that Friday night and I started on it right away. I started in the bottom corner, which I don't usually do, but again, I wanted to get to that berry tree, which was so pretty, and I still haven't gotten to the berries. I already made a mistake on it. I'm going to be the floss tuber who always tells you about my mistakes so that you can feel better every time you make a mistake, but I shortened the peacock legs by 1 stitch. So I'm going to have to remember to do that on the other side for the other peacock because we don't want them to be out of balance. Now these retreat patterns usually come out a year later, so you can't get them right now, but you probably will be able to get them in a year. I think that's commonly the schedule. Okay, this one we got Saturday morning, and as soon as I saw this, I wanted to start working on it right away as well. This sampler is from Antique Sampler Reproductions, or Samplers Remembered, and it's Jane Eleanor Lee. And isn't that gorgeous? Okay, I did not bring the threads, the floss for that one over here. But I started that one this week, and I love that border. It reminds me of a wrought iron fence. You know, if that was done in black, wouldn't that be a cool black, some kind of a Halloween pattern? But one thing that I love about it is, look at how pretty those colors are in there. So I'm going to do the whole border first, and then I'm going to do the pretty colors, and then there's not that much in the middle of it. Again, a smaller size sampler, and it was relaxing to stitch that. You do have to keep count because it's not like most of the samplers, the little girls or the occasional boy who stitched a sampler is not really paying attention to making sure all of those motifs or all of those borders are exactly perfect. So you do have to count, but look, the border corners do not match up. So if you do screw up, you're not going to have to frog it out to get it to match up. And I appreciate that little bit of leeway in there because I might need it. All right, and then the last thing not the last thing because I have 2 more things. The other thing I worked on was this piece, which I started for my dad. You know, I've talked to you about the samplers that I'm doing to represent different family members, my grandparents, Paul's grandparents, our parents, and this is one I started for my dad, who was the center of our house and home, and I just thought this was a perfect one for him. So I did work on that one a little bit more. And I'm doing it in NPI silks in a hank of beautiful silk that I don't have. Hang on. I have all my project bag. I can't reach it. I have all my project bags over there. I'll show you the next time what color that is, but it's a beautiful kind of a gray blue. And so I finished this square and I did the rest of this top border, and I really like working with one color because you don't have to pay attention to symbols, you don't have to think of changing colors, you just keep going and going. So I really like working on that one. Of course, it's even more timely now. I did start it when he was still with us, and I like having started at that point, and it will be even more special to me now. So, all right, so those are the progresses that I made. Now I did a freebie for you, and this is a little fall freebie, and I call it Little Pumpkin because it's little. And so here it is. Little Pumpkin has a few little quilt squares on the bottom. I picked the color Ginger Snap to match our pumpkin chenille trim so I could put the trim on it. And that is a free pattern. If you go to our website, coloradocrossstitcher.com, and if you use the arrow next to the word patterns to drop down, it'll give you a drop down menu, and free patterns are on the left hand side on the bottom. And so I hope you enjoy this little guy. I stitched it on 36 count, so it is really tiny, which I love. So I'm going to put it in probably in that little case. Well, I'll probably put it in the shop for a while, but if you use a bigger fabric, of course, you're going to get a bigger pillow. So I hope you enjoy that. And here's a tip that I don't remember who I heard this from. Somebody was talking about it in an offhand comment, but here's a tip for sewing your pillow patterns. When I get the pattern done, the piece of fabric done, I iron it. And then I turn it over, and on the back I use this kind of a quilting template to mark the edges. So I line this line up, or whatever, however much of a border I want, along the top of the stitching, and then I draw a pencil line, and then I do that on all four sides of the linen on the back, and then I have a stitching guideline to go with. Now sometimes I stitch right on that line, sometimes I line my presser foot up right inside that line, but it just gives you a line to make a perfectly even line all the way across and a perfectly even border all the way around. Then for your corners, and I got this tip from Vanna, and if you don't watch Vanna the Twisted Stitcher and her finishing techniques, I mean, she's the best in our business, right? So her technique for getting good corners is you sew past the corner and then you back up, and then you sew past the corner this way and then you come down. That way you've got a very 90-degree angle corner, and you can clip right down to it because you've gone over it a couple of times, so it's not going to ravel and you're not going to clip too close, and that lets you get more pointed corners. Now even so, my corners are never perfect, so that's why I like chenille trim, because I glue it on with that Aleene's tacky glue and it covers up the imperfection of my little corners. So, Little Pumpkin, I hope you enjoy that. All right, I wanted to show you just a couple of things from summer school. I'm sure you've seen this on Instagram, but I love Stitch Folk bags. Barry is such a beautiful seamstress, and it was so fun to talk to her because she just finds so much joy in stitching. She doesn't get tired of it. She says she wakes up ready to go and excited to stitch again, and I'm so glad because we all love her bags. So this was the fun bag that she gave to all of us. Well, I think Jean commissioned her to make them for all of the people at summer school. And so that's really fun. That's the logo for summer school, which we got in fluff drops and little tags and stickers. And so I love this. This we got, and this is one of those, just a tool tray that you can store flat, but also snaps in the corners. And it's to keep your paraphernalia, your scissors, your magnets, your rulers or tape measures, whatever you need. And I used mine for chocolate. Now here's the thing. Don't ever feel like you can't go to a retreat by yourself. You can totally go to a retreat by yourself. I went to my very first retreat at the Silver Needle in Tulsa by myself. What you need to do is take chocolate. And then you can go up to a table and you can say, do y'all mind if I sit with you? I brought chocolate. And, you know, you're in like Flynn. Now, if they're not chocolate lovers, they're not your tribe of stitchers anyways. So you can move to a different table. Well, they're not my tribe of stitchers. I need to have chocolate lovers around me. So this held my chocolate, which I am always happy to share at retreats. So that was super fun. And then, okay, this looks funny because I had something frozen on top because that's going to be in my 3 things. So ignore these little condensation marks. So one of the things we got was this 3-section tray by Tim Holtz, which you can find anywhere that carries Tim Holtz. I'm sure Joann's, Michael's, Hobby Lobby. And this was fun because she was, I shouldn't say she, I should tell you who it is, and now I gotta figure that out. Or maybe I'm not gonna figure that out. I'm telling you what, I'm just not organized with all this stuff today. Anyway, we got a pattern to do, here it is, my lady's needle. A pattern to do the middle section with a little pincushion. And then you can keep your scissors and your paraphernalia in the other 2 sections. Now, this would be a fun project for anybody, even if you don't have this pattern, which again will probably be out in a year, so you can get this pattern eventually. But wouldn't it be fun to do that? Now, we all know how to do that because of the Hands-On Design Block Party instructions, right? So you're going to make a square and you're going to put sides on it and you're going to sew it together with a mattress stitch, and it's going to fit perfectly in your middle section. So you could take a little motif or design a little alphabet or put your name or whatever you want to put, make yourself a little pin pillow for the middle, and then pop it in one of these. So I thought that would be a fun thing to do for sitting next to your stitching area. Another one that we got that was fun that I wanted to talk about was this scissor keep, and comes from this big pattern that we also received. This is from, hang on, it is from Needle Made Designs. And this was cool because it's a scissor keep, and she has the patterns for all the different letters of the alphabet. Well, to me, this reminds me kind of hello, I'm not going to cut that out, but a luggage tag or a bag tag. So if you go to retreats or you like tags on your bags, I thought this would be a fun shape to do. And I can't show you the pattern of the alphabet. Maybe she has a picture in here. But it would be fun to find a big alphabet that you like and make a little tag for yourself. Well, here. Can you see that? So again, she has all the letters of the alphabet in this packet that we can do the design from, but super fun to make yourself your own little luggage tag. Remember I talked about needlepoint in my last video, just because I wanted to do that Christmas nativity I showed you. And the needlepointers have a bunch of different luggage tags available, patterns to needlepoint, I think, for your luggage, but I wouldn't put it on my luggage because I don't want it going through the airport conveyor belts. But it made me think it would be fun to make luggage tags for your project bags. All right, and then the other thing I wanted to show you, which is fun, and I wanted to give you this idea too, is from 5 Times Blessed. I don't know if this pattern will come out because she's not typically a pattern designer, I don't think, but she's on Etsy and she has cool stuff in her shop, so be sure to check her out. But she did this Keeper of the Pins, Keeper of the Buttons, Keeper of the Pins, Brenda Gervais, Keeper of the Buttons pattern. Now this is how I store all of my buttons behind me. You can see I love refrigerator jars, old-fashioned vintage refrigerator jars, and I have a bunch of them to put my buttons in. What happens when I need a button for a project is I open up one of those jars, I dump about the top 20% out, I sort through it in my hand, pick a few, put them back in. What I would love to do now with this is make a button box with just my favorite buttons that I want to reuse in a project. Instead of looking at the top 20%, I'm going to spread all of them out. I'm going to pick out all the really cool ones and keep them in this button box. So she got this box at, let's see, did she say Michael's? It's a wooden box, unfinished box. And so we're going to make the cover that says Keeper of the Buttons. Now you could do a grid like this, make up your own grid, put whatever you want on it, button box or button book or whatever, and attach some of those buttons on top. And then you can make your own button box with your favorite buttons. Now, maybe you don't have a lot of buttons and so it's not a big deal to look through the jars, but if you're a button collector like I seem to be, maybe that's an idea for you for collecting some of the buttons. When you work on unfinished boxes like this, paint it and then sand it a little. And the trick to sanding wooden objects like this to make it look naturally distressed or kind of vintage is you want to sand it a little harder on the places where your hands would go. So that's when you see old vintage things and you see it's a little worn in different spots, that's where somebody's foot always, you know, they put their foot on the footrest and so the paint wore off. Or they opened the box a lot like this and so the paint wore off in this corner where they grabbed it. So think about where would you see normal everyday wear and tear on a piece, and that's where you sand it a little bit harder. So you don't want to sand all of the edges off. Well, if you want it to look vintage, you don't want to sand all of the edges off completely evenly because that's not how a piece would wear, but sand it in the spots, in the corners, wherever you think that you would naturally be using it and would naturally see some wear. And then you want to take just a clear wax, and she recommended Annie Sloan's clear wax, project wax. It takes just a little bit and you buff it after you've painted and sanded it, and it just makes it really soft and has a really nice finish to it. So that's a tip for finishing your button box. All right. We got more things, but I just want to show you a few of the stash things I bought at Jean's shop, which was super fun. So first of all, I told you that I was stocking up on 56 count fabric, and then I came home and ordered more 56 count fabric for a shop. So I stocked up on that. This is one piece. I have, no, this is two pieces. I think I have 2 or 3 other pieces that I got too. So this is Needle and Flax Steinbeck. Really a beautiful kind of a beige. I like cool beiges. This is a little warmer, but I also love this. This is Needle and Flax Dolly Madison in 56 count. And then I got Seraphim and Chai, which is interesting because I think I have a piece of Seraphim Chai that is a little pinker than this. This one I got because, okay, I was totally sold on Bristol samplers again because Jean has this beautiful table and a beautiful display. And you know, she does a Bristol sampler weekend every June, and I was talking to her about that and said I'd really like to come. And she said, I think every needleworker ought to attend once to learn more about Bristol samplers. And I totally agree with that. She said it's such an important part of our history in loving samplers. And so if you can learn more about that, you know, we've talked about the documentary on YouTube by George Muller, who founded the Bristol orphanages, and his incredible story. And anyway, so I got this, Emma Sanford, and I'm so excited to do this. Really interesting. It looks so similar to Mary Hillier, which is a new pattern by Hands Across the Sea. So I wonder if these gals probably made samplers around the same time frame, because one of the things that attracted me to this one is that beautiful alphabet at the top with a little bit of curlicues on it, and just stunning. I don't know how many Bristol samplers I'm going to make. Like in my mind, I'd like a whole wall of them, but do I really want to do that? I don't know. But I at least want to have 1 or 2 or 3 of them just for the history of the place in our history that Bristol samplers play. So I got 56 count. I know, 56 count. And then I got Tudor silks. And Jean told me I'd have enough with 4, so I got 5 just to be on the safe side. And this is what she used on hers. And then I got this chai. So that's what I'm going to do it on. I cannot wait to start this project. And my friend Meredith is going to stitch it with me. I think we're going to start in September. Because why not? Why not start yet another project? All right, so got that, and then I got another set of Tudor silks. So the first set was in Hollyberry, and this set is Candy Apple, just so that I can do my second Bristol sampler, also on a 56 count, in that beautiful silk. And then I got some books. Now I didn't bring all the things that I bought, but here are a few things I got. I loved this Sunday Morning Sampler by Samplers Remembered, because of the little pillow on the bottom that says Sunday afternoon stitching, and that's almost always what I'm doing on Sunday afternoons is stitching, so that was fun. You can get this at the Attic. And then another one I got is All Rangies Collected. I don't know if Rangies is how you pronounce that, but it is all borders. Here, I'll do a quick flip. All band borders. And I've got some plans for these, so I think that's going to be fun. I also got this, a schoolroom alphabet, which I have seen before, and I loved the display that she had set up. But the cool thing about this, or one of the cool things about this one, is it has alphabets. Let's see if I can show you one so you can get the gist of what this is. It has a whole alphabet, and apologies, I'm just going to show you the A, for 3 different sized letters of all the letters in the alphabet, so that you can do something like this. Make yourself Make yourself a banner. You could make a banner that says Stitch, or a banner that says your last name, or a banner that says Christmas, or a banner that says fall, and that sounds really fun. It was all done around this handkerchief, so all of the projects in this book are parts and pieces or inspired by that handkerchief, which I thought was cool. All right, that's probably enough sharing of summer school, but I just want to encourage you, if you can't afford to go to a retreat, make your own retreat. Retreats are refreshing. They renew, they inspire, they just give a jump start to your creativity. It was so good for me to be there this weekend, and like I said, I made really good long-term friends there. I had a great time stitching. I loved meeting all the people that I met, but even more importantly, it was just fun to get away and be around people who love doing what I love doing. And so if you can't go to a retreat, maybe get some friends together and have a stitching day where you go to one of the people's houses and stitch all day. If you can, go away for a weekend and have a whole weekend with stitching friends and share your different projects. If you can't get away or you don't have stitching friends, then go on Instagram and really spend some time getting renewed and re-inspired with some of the projects you see on Instagram. But I just think sometimes stitching can be such a solitary activity, and you don't realize how much you're going to get out of it if you can be with other people. Okay, so I have a couple more things to share with you. One is Sampler Camp, so that's new. You know how we've done cross stitch camp this summer, and I do a 1-month winter camp in February just to kind of get us through the winter and have something fun to do. But somebody had said, a couple people have mentioned, well, what about the sampler stitchers? Because you know, you have different challenges in the summertime and everything has to be done in a month, and you can't really do that when you're a sampler stitcher. So to coordinate with Sampler September, which was started by I'm not sure who, I apologize, but the gist of it is you stitch on a sampler in September. I thought, let's do sampler camp. So we're going to do sampler camp. It's going to go from September through December. Again, it's a virtual camp. There's no cost to join. You do not have to order anything from my shop in order to participate. But it's a fun way to just enjoy the process of stitching samplers, to see what other people are stitching. And that's why I had to do this video really quick, because September 1st is just right around the corner. Since we have come to you with this idea kind of late, I know some of you plan to work on a sampler that you already have going in September. So this year for Sampler Camp, we're just going to include that. If you want to work on a sampler that you've already started and you want to have an eye to finish it by the end of December and you want to do Sampler Camp, perfect. Join in with us. Next year, I would love for us to start a new sampler on September 1st and use those 4 months to work on it. So next year it'll be a little different. But so if you'd like to participate, you need to just join us on Instagram. Now I know not everybody uses Instagram, but just like with regular cross stitch camp, Instagram is the social media of record. For me, it's easy for me to search by a hashtag and keep track of who's participating and who finished and who put their starting photo on, because we'll do drawings at the end of December for, well, the last day in December, probably January 1st, for some winners of participants in Sampler Camp. So the challenge, there is a challenge though, and the challenge for this year's Sampler Camp is to do something on your piece that is original. So that might mean changing a color on a motif. It might mean changing a motif. It might mean adding your name or your family's name instead of one that's in there, or in addition to one that's in there. And I brought a few samplers from the shop so I could show you some of the things that I've done that would qualify for that. So that's the challenge, and like I said, you don't have to let me know you're participating except to post in Instagram. Now here's the hashtag. I'm still getting people who are using the wrong hashtag for cross stitch camp, and I want to keep it really simple, because if you use the wrong hashtag, I don't see it on that official list that I check. So the hashtag for Sampler Camp is hashtag Sampler Camp 2022. So that way next year when we do 2023, those will be separate from this year's. So hashtag Sampler Camp 2022. All right, and that starts September 1st. Now, of course, I had to do a badge for my camp project bag and to share with you. So here is the Sampler Camp, let's see, Sampler Camp badge for this year. I kept it pretty simple. And that is a free pattern also on our website under the pattern section, under the free pattern section. So if you would like to make yourself a badge to add to your camp project bag, if you participate in camp with us, or just to put on a new project bag or make a bag tag for your bag, a temporary bag tag, that was super fun to do. All of these different designs are available as free patterns if you want to do any of the past ones. And I think it's going to be super fun. So let me share a few samplers. First of all, this one I did not change anything on, but I wanted to show you that a sampler doesn't have to be big. So this is Icy Red by the Scarlet House, and you can make a small sampler. There's no requirement on size, stitch count, anything. So you could make a small sampler. So I brought that as a thing to show you for a small sampler. Now here's a sampler that I did using Brenda Gervais' Abecedarian series. What I changed was she finished all of these in individual pillows, and I wanted it all in one big long piece. Somewhere like 2 or 3 or 4 years ago, I saw a picture of this on Instagram, which is another plug for how inspiring it can be to look at everybody's pictures on Instagram. And so I just kind of did it on my own. I figured up how big of a piece of fabric I would need, and I did this on 28 count 1/1. And then I just started. I started on this end, and then when I got to this next one, I figured out how, what I needed to do to squeeze that in there and what I needed to add in. I did add some things in. So anyway, that's one example of taking a sampler pattern and making it your own. And then the next one I did was G. Leger. And this one I did for my grandmother. And so I put her name, her name and her date and where she was born. I did put G. Leger, the little girl's name, up here because I wanted to keep that as part of the sampler too. But this is just another example of taking a pattern and making it your own, maybe adding a family name or what have you. Another one is A Savior's Praise. Loved working on this one. This one I made my own because you have initials that you can do up around the lady up at the top. And so I did my daughter's initials and all the women in our family, from her parent, her mom, her grandmas, and her great-grandmas. And then I notated all of that information on a card in the back, which I do, put a library card in the back. I also changed the bottom, I changed this part a little bit, so don't be afraid to change. That's the purpose of this challenge, is to help you to see that you can change things a little bit. I know there are sampler purists who will not change anything, so maybe this challenge this year's not for you, but I think it's really cool to make things your own. And the last one is the Smith sampler, and I'm going to tell you what I saw. Tanya brought the antique Smith sampler to summer school just because I was telling her how much I love it. And it was such a thrill to see the antique version. I didn't ask her for permission to share that in my Flosstube. I took a picture of it. But if I can get permission, she's going to be one of my designer spotlights coming up this fall, and I'll put it in our email newsletter. So be sure to sign up for that so you get that. Did I tell you about Designer Spotlight? Designer Spotlight is starting up this fall, and I'm going to include some sampler designers in there. So I send out our newsletter every 2 weeks, so twice a month. Well, once a month, it's going to have a designer spotlight, and Tanya's going to be in one of our upcoming ones, and so you'll learn a little bit more about her. So if I get permission to share that antique picture, I'll sure do that. The thing I changed here is that big basket. That's where it said Smith because it's the Smith sampler. And since that was 5 letters and my last name is 6 letters, and I didn't really want to put Smith on there because that isn't my name, so I just designed it to go along with those triangles in the border that have a lot of color in it. So it could be as simple as that, just changing up a little piece or filling something in a little differently. Your changes in the challenge don't have to be big ones, but it's really fun to do. All right, so that is Sampler Camp. Now I wanted to show you a couple more things. Remember I showed you this the last time? In my last video, I showed you a lot of different examples of repurposing old antique things, not necessarily sewing things, but things for your stitching supplies. So this I shared with you because I put my used needles in here. When one gets bent or the eye gets broken or whatever and I don't want to use it anymore, I tuck it into here. So this has a lot of old used needles in it. It came with these hat picks when I got it at the antique store, and I thought that was kind of cute, so I just left those in. Well, we got a lot of different counting pins at the attic at summer school, and so I popped those in the top of these, and I'm just thrilled to have a way to store those pretty counting pins. I use counting pins if I have to count over quite a ways for whatever motif I want to work on. I use counting pins for determining the size of the fabric if it's not labeled. So you put one At a starting point, you measure 2 inches with your ruler and put another one, and then you use one of these pins also to count the number of threads, divide it by 2, and that's the number of threads per inch. That tells you the fabric size. The reason I do 2 is because sometimes you can be off a little bit with just with 1. It's a little more accurate when you count 2. But I want to share that with you because that is a fun way to store your counting pins. And then look what I found in my basement. So I've got different, antique boxes of things that I haven't unpacked since we moved or aren't really using. This is a huge flower frog. Like, this is going to hold my very biggest sewing scissors. I shared last time with you a little one that I keep a lot of my little scissors in, but it was so fun to find this in my very own basement. So those were 2 things. And then I wanted to tell you about my 3 things for today, because I always try and do 3 things. So the 3 things are, one of them is frozen. So this is Cometeer coffee, and I'm going to show you the end, and I will put a link below. My daughter told me about this, and it is frozen coffee. It comes in a pod. It's not to be used with a Keurig. It is a frozen capsule of coffee concentrate. And so you get your hot water, like 8 ounces of water, you open this up, you put this in, dissolve it, and it is the best tasting frozen coffee I've ever had. The way I would use this is, and it's a little pricey, but if you use my link, you get, I don't know, $25 off or something, and I think if 3 of you order, I get a free mug or something. I didn't even look into it. I just wanted to tell you about it. But the way I use this is if I go away for a weekend and I know that I want to have, first of all, I drink decaf, so I have to take decaf with me. But it's an easy way if you're going away for the weekend, or sometimes I'll take this to work to have in the afternoons. It's just very convenient. So, Cometeer coffee, and again, I'll put a link below so you can get your first order of it for cheaper. So that's thing number 1. Thing number 2 is I ordered these little made by tags because I wanted to make a few little pillows for a few people at summer school as a thank you. And so I wanted to have something on there to show that it came from me. And these are iron-on tags. I got it from a shop on Etsy. I will link that below. But think about that if you make little pillows or little things for other people. Think about putting your name on it. So, and they're, I don't know if they were $1 each or 75 cents each. They were not super expensive, but handy to have. And then my third thing of my 3 things is I have been wanting this set of Betty Ring sampler books, Girlhood Embroidery, forever. So I've been keeping an eye out on it on eBay. And these books are just priceless. Again, just talking about the history of needlework and the things that have come before. And these books are just worth their weight in gold. They're so fun to look through. I will do a flip, but beautiful samplers, beautiful descriptions. You will learn a lot if you can get a set of these, or I don't know if some libraries have these, but they sure are fun to look through. So I don't have a link for this because they're out of print. But keep an eye out because, and sometimes just one volume or the other will go up for sale on eBay, but you can get them at a better price if you keep a watch on it. All right, the last thing I want to talk to you about is shop news, and the drawing for that beautiful project bag last time. Okay, I have 2 more things to tell you about. The winner of our project bag, and you had to use the word happy, is Alberta Conti. So Alberta, you have won yourself this beautiful project bag with accessory tote. Huge thanks to Deborah at Joyful Stitching Store for donating project bags to me to give away to all of you. She makes some of my very favorite project bags. I've ordered so many from her because I love them so much, and I always link to her in my show notes. So Alberta, you are the winner. Now, look at this cutie pie that we have for next time. Very cute, Teresa Kogut material, right? For Halloween, comes with a little accessory pouch, comes with black and orange DMC in there. And so if you would like to be entered to win this one, let's use the word pumpkin in your comment, and I will use the random generator to pick a winner next time. All right, we have a new, I'm carrying a new designer in the shop that I added in, and then I have a little extra giveaway for those of you ordering in September because it is our 1-year anniversary. I cannot believe we've had ColoradoCrossStitcher.com for 1 year. It's amazing. We opened at the end of September last year. All right, so our new designer is the Wishing Thorn, and I added this one in because Laura from Brenda the Serial Starter shared this pattern, which I just thought was the coolest pattern. I love the border, and it's beautiful in blues, isn't it? But you could do it in any color that you love. And so I contacted the designer and we've added her patterns in. So I'll just show you the patterns we got. So that's the Anne McFarlane sampler. We have Twilight Woods, which kind of has a little bit of Art Nouveau kind of motifs, and chocolate floss colors. This is the German Holiday sampler, another one that you could do in any color, just soft and sweet motifs. I love the colors in this one. Harriet Charlesworth 1822. Beautiful colors in that one. MAF and LE Treacher sampler. Fiona Rutherford. Fiona, my girl, loved colorful threads, didn't she? That is an eye-popping little chart, little sampler. Love it. Then we have the little Bunny Shepherd and Mary Elizabeth Leet. So that is new designer in the shop. The last thing I want to tell you is a lot of you received our floss drops, which were printed after a photo my husband took of a vintage sampler that I bought. I don't know if you consider that a sampler, a vintage embroidery piece that I bought. And so we made floss cards from it. Well, now we've made needle minders from it. So this is a little free gift that we have for your September orders. Please be sure to tell me that you would like a needle minder, because I know not everybody uses needle minders, but I just thought it was so fun to make one that matched our floss drop, and I just love that little embroidered house so much. So if you would like one of these in your orders in September, well, we'll start now as soon as this goes up. Anybody who says needle minder or needle minder please or whatever in your order notes, we're happy to add that in. When you add an order note, if you add something to your cart and you get a little box that says go to your cart to check out, if you click that, it will take you to a checkout page with no way to add an order note. So close that and instead go up to the top of your computer and click on the checkout button there, and then you'll get a place to put your order note. So I hope you like these. And just a huge thank you for all of your orders, all of your kindness, all of your encouraging emails and texts and notes. Just, it's meant so much to us over this past year. It's been a wonderful year. I have loved having the cross stitch shop. You know, I sold the yarn shop this past March, and so having the time to put in full time to the cross stitch shop has been just so wonderful, and I just appreciate your support so much. I know there are a lot of places that you can order supplies from, and I'm just always tickled when I see your names come through and you're ordering from us. So thank you very much for that. All right, I think that's it for today. So Sampler Camp, don't forget, join us in Sampler Camp if you want to join us on the Facebook page that we have ongoing for camp. It's Cross Stitch Camp with an exclamation mark. I'll link to that below. So hop over there and tell us what samplers you're going to be working on if you're going to join us. And don't forget to use the word pumpkin if you're interested in that project bag. That is all for today. Thank you so much for watching. Thanks for subscribing. Thanks for your comments, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.